assembly required, but listeners' discretion is advised. Sit back, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe or follow. Now, let's not keep you waiting. It's time to welcome your hosts of TNT Podcast, Tara and Tina.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of TNT Podcast. This is episode 27, Sipple, Speed, and Performance, with your hosts, the beautiful Tina, and myself, Tara. You can follow us on Instagram at TNT Podcast Show, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we are available on all the listening platforms as well. Also, just a shout out to anybody that's watching. Maybe you're listening. We do appreciate you. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So just before we introduce our next guest, just want to give a quick shout out to our friend Gary Rudy of dragcoach.com. Whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, Gary's got you covered at the track. He offers different packages. He'll travel. Gary really knows his stuff, so reach out to Gary for any help that you want. So let's introduce our next guest. This is the team behind Sipple, Speed, and Performance. Jon is a known legend in the Mopar community for his transmission builds, along with his badass wife. So let's not wait any further, and everybody welcome Mr. Jon and Jessica Sipple to the show. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Good. Hi, Gary. And welcome back. We had you on last year when we did the Couples in Drag Racing series. So welcome back, and thanks for coming back. And just want to slip it into that Tina's actually running in Mom Car, a Sipple's Trans. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we finally we had a transfer case in at first, and then the stock trans decided to leave the chat, so we had to quickly get her one.
Hey, you went through a lot.
The whole thing went through a lot.
Yeah.
But,
it sure did.
She's doing good now, so
yeah.
Can't wait to see that thing go a little faster. Yeah,
We'll see.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, before we get into some of Jon's history and stuff, how did you guys meet? How did you get together? I mean, I'm assuming too, you were into cars prior to meeting Jon, maybe, and how did this all come about?
Go ahead.
Oh, I get to go ahead. So we're both.
She wants to see if you're getting the story correct.
Yeah.
So be very careful.
All right. So
Smart girl.
I may screw this up. However,
Okay.
So there was this Facebook group. It was called Mopar USA. And back in 2014, I joined it, and she was already a member of it. And it was just one of those things where we chat a little bit here and there, nothing crazy, just, we comment on each other's stuff. We became Facebook friends or whatever. And I guess throughout the years, it just progressed. It started off as this innocent little, making fun of each other, or teasing or commenting or what have you. And fast forward to 2018, it was like, maybe we should meet, and one thing led to another, and she came to visit 2019 for a couple weeks.
No, the end of 2018.
It was the end of 2018.
So where were you located, Jess, at the time?
I was in Wisconsin at that point.
Okay.
I moved to Wisconsin. It was a mistake, but we won't go there.
It was a happy mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it was, because if I hadn't moved there, I would have never met Jon.
Yeah.
But anyways, needless to say, I was always into cars, but I always went to car shows and stuff with my dad growing up, because he had the old 50 Plymouth Dodges, DeSotos. And I was like, well, I'm going to be the black sheep of the family. And I tried to go Chevy, and I was like, well, this sucks. And so then I went back to Mopar.
I didn't hold it against her.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I still have a Camaro. I got a 91 RS. We're going to make it into a baby pro mod one of these days, but yeah. It's going to be Hemi powered too, by the way.
Yeah, we'll cut that one up, make it badass.
Yeah. And you guys are located in North Carolina?
Yep.
Right?
Just north of Charlotte in Mooresville, North Carolina. Yeah.
Okay. And you both drag race?
We both drag race. So
You put me in anything, I'll race it. I don't care.
oh man. So yeah.
Here's one of the bad
there's
apples.
I'm missing him so bad. You have no idea.
I gotta get off my ass and get that thing back.
So that's Tigger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. So I've been drag racing my whole life. So when Jessica came into the picture, I had my Hellcat, I was drag racing it, and she would come and help out in the pits and take pictures and was all into that. And my buddy Julian had Tigger, and he had traded him in on a 1320 car.
Sublime green.
So Julian had traded this car in. Well, it was cammed, it had headers, had all this crap on it. It sat at the dealership for months. Nobody would touch it. They were scared to death of it because it was, turned up. And history unknown, it's just the dealership did a very poor job at portraying this vehicle. So we were at a breast cancer benefit car show. And Julian was there, and we were there hanging out or whatever. And I just happened to ask him, like, Julian, do you know if that car is still for sale? He goes, oh, yeah, it's just sitting over there on the lot. I'm like, really? Because I was thinking about, getting her into drag racing.
Mhm.
I had the Magnum, but I wasn't ready to race it because it was my daily.
Yeah,
so.
she was daily in the Magnum at the time. So it was like, let's find something else that we can just race. If we break it, no big deal, right?
Right.
So I go to the dealership and literally steal this car because it had sat there for so long. It was on their floor plan. They just wanted it gone. So I gave them a ridiculous number and they took it. So that's how we became owners of Tigger. And Julian had it set up more for like Tail of the Dragon and stuff like that. So it really wasn't a dedicated drag car. Julian drag raced it, of course, but it wasn't set up exactly right for a drag car. So it was kind of like half and half. And he had been bottom 11s in it. I think once or twice. He was contemplating putting nitrous on it or whatever. So he never did. So I ended up getting the car and started changing some things. And lo and behold, we got it in the 10s after doing a couple things. Nothing crazy, but we got it in the high 10s. And then she started making passes in it. That was the end of that, man.
She was hooked.
She was hooked.
Yeah. I was going to say Eric Storms helped us out too with getting it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of people who have helped along the way,
But that's with the old motor. I mean, like now the new motor, that's all been Tim Bartholomew.
Yeah, Tim's been on the keys on that one. But it's just been a wild journey watching her get in that car for the first time, running 11s, and then it just, into the 10s, now the bottom 10s. And, we had high hopes for Tigger this spring, but unfortunately, our camshaft selection was not favorable for the 5.7 PCM that we were running. And
we are going to try one last ditch effort.
Yeah, Tim's got an idea we're going to try in the next couple weeks. But with the car running very angry, I managed a 955 out of it in Orlando.
On the baby tune.
On the base tune, like, here you go, let's see what kind of data we can get. So the car's got potential. It's going to fly when we get it ironed out. So
yep.
Wow. That's
then
awesome.
the other car,
Yeah.
the backup race car.
Yeah.
Well, John, you've got your own beast too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that car's come a long way. Gosh, I bought that thing brand new off the showroom floor at Hendrick Dodge in Concord, North Carolina. And yeah, that car will always be in the family. It's just one of those deals. I had a 6-speed Hellcat, and me and Bill Gamble kind of mixed it up a little bit there with the world records. And, I threw nitrous at a stock Hellcat and just beat the brakes off that damn thing. We got it in the 1060s with nothing more than 100 shot on a stock motor and a K&N drop-in filter. So, but back then, I mean, there really wasn't anything going on quite yet with the Hellcats. It was all new. It's 2015. Everybody was like, well, what do we do with this thing? I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to fucking spray nitrous on it. Let's go.
Well, how do you know until you try, right?
Yeah.
You guys
So that was
hands-on.
It was pretty cool to get a manual car that heavy
Mhm.
into the tens. That was pretty badass. I really enjoyed that car, but being the drag racer I am, it was very inefficient and very
Right.
inconsistent. So I traded it in and got the orange car, and it's been totally awesome. I love that car to death. But
Yeah.
it's definitely gone through some changes,
Yeah.
especially recently. So,
And last year you added this to the fleet.
oh
You
yeah,
guys are
that
having
was-
some fun with
that
that.
was last summer. Last summer,
Yeah, August, I would
yeah,
say.
I think August. Yeah, we added that one last August.
But I actually just raced that at the NMCA race that
Yeah.
was at Rockingham.
Right.
That's supposed to be the daily, which is not a daily anymore. It's now a stickered up race car. But
Guess we'll have to
whatever.
buy another car for that.
Yeah. Well, you've even had this year. You had something pretty cool come along.
Oh
yeah,
yes.
yeah, Blue Bayou.
Gotta say thank you, Tim Holmberg.
Yeah, that was a happy mistake from Mr.
That's-
Holmberg,
Gary says a snack hawk.
the snack hawk. Yeah, that's funny. What's Bogler saying?
Oh,
Listen, I'm dying because they're talking about like World of Warcraft and Elder Scrolls, and I'm like, I'm all over here like Diablo. Let's go.
Yeah, Bogler is actually chiming in about the lack of support and tuning back in 2007. Yeah, I couldn't imagine the shit those guys went through back then. Him.
yeah. There wasn't near,
Yeah, there wasn't.
the stuff that's out now.
Yeah. Definitely
So-
a lot easier to go this day and age than it was way back when.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm dying over Pat's comment.
Pat is just. Pat, have
So
another
we're
drink,
pretty
man.
funny.
So, not to go off subject, but Diablo 4 is coming out June 6th. So, like at night and stuff, you're going to be like, where's Jessica? And I'm going to be on the computer gaming.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm a nerd like that. A lot of people don't know it, but I am. Whatever.
Well, there you go. That's okay.
Love you too, Nancy. Freaking
yeah.
Bogler, man.
Love you, Lindas. That's plural.
Oh, it's plural. Oh, so you're a Linda now too. Huh.
Aw.
Hey, Nancy.
All right. I guess Tina's got to change her name to Nancy.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
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 Well, John, take us back to the beginning. What was going on prior to Sipple Speed and Performance, and even before that?
If you
And I
wanna-
mean,
how
all the
far back-
roads lead us
how
to
far-
where we are. So
How far back you want to go? So,
as far back as you want.
all right. I'm just going to touch on this briefly.
I'm sorry, Pat. MSH's Diablo server.
Oh my god. Anyway, I started messing with cars when I was 12 years old. Bought my first car out of the salvage yard down the street from my house. It was a 68 Firebird 400 4-speed. It was wrecked, but it was 80% complete. I drug it to the house, basically got a Chilton's book and a basic toolkit, took that car apart, put it together I don't know how many times, and I pretty much taught myself how to work on cars with that car. And it had a M20 wide ratio 4-speed in it, Muncie 4-speed in it. And I was intrigued, so I would take that thing apart, figure stuff out, and I never did get that one together quite right. But that was a start. I was 12 years old. So I always had a fascination with transmissions, and that led to technical school after high school, which led to a dealership job. Started working for Chrysler back in 93. Obviously, in 93, they came out with this 41TE transmission. It was 4-speed automatic in the Caravans and Shadows and Lancers and all kinds of stuff. And they were total garbage. So I made a lot of money building transmissions for Chrysler in the 90s. So that's pretty much where I got my career jump start. And I've been building transmissions, I can't even think, 32 years or whatever. But I've always been performance oriented. I've always had drag cars. I've been drag racing since I was 16 years old. So, when I was at the dealership building 41 TEs during the day, I was building power glides and 400s at night with shift kits, big stalls and Alto Reds and all that bullshit. So I kind of just came up into it building transmissions, and I had taken a break for a little while, I guess in 2011, I think it was, I went to work for RK Motors in Charlotte, which was a classic car dealership, pretty renowned, pretty big classic car dealership. And I turned my skills onto, classic cars and all the stuff that goes with that. And that is a totally different ball game. And I've restored several cars through my career, but RK was like the 9 to 5. I'm going to work on classics day in and day out. And I got roped into building transmissions there too. So we were doing 727s, 904s, 400s, 350s, Power Glides, C6, C4, Muncies, top loaders, all that shit. So I still stayed in the game building transmissions through that. And so from 2011 to 2019, I went from a technician at RK Motors to VP of sales at RK Motors, and was basically number 2 in charge of the company when I decided to leave. So I left because of Jessica. She recognized that I wasn't happy. I was making tons of money. I had a cushy job. I was overweight, out of shape, but I wasn't. There was something missing, right? So
Right.
I'm a very driven individual. I'm sure people have seen me at the track. They've seen me out and about.
I've seen you.
I'm not one to sit around, right? So I had gotten a little lazy at RK, and Jessica's like, you're just not happy. You need to do something different. And we had the shop here at the house. COVID was just ramping in.
And he had already told me what he had thought about doing, with the business. And
Yeah. And at that time, I'd already started messing with the Hellcats A8 because I had broken like 5 of them. Once I started getting below like 940s, we started breaking them quite often. And at that time, it was 10 grand to get a transmission. And, once you have 4 or 5 of those laying on the floor of the garage, you need to make a decision. Something's got to give. So that's when I dove in and started messing with the A8s to figure out what we could do to actually get this thing to live with big power. And then big power at that time was like, I think we laid down 963, and that was like, oh my God, what the hell are we doing? But of course now that's like your 900 package, whatever. But
that's a baby package.
yeah, the baby package. But it's like, holy shit, back then it was like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of freaking power.
It's a big
Right.
deal, yeah.
But it was totally her. She pushed me, and we came up with the name Sipple Speed and Performance. And at that time, and now we're in 2020, I was doing everything. I was doing bolt-ons and packages and custom work, and I built a couple race cars. And man, it just got overwhelming for a little one-man shop. There's a lot going on. Plus, trying to get the transmission stuff ironed out for these Hellcats. There's a lot going on. So
Yeah, and actually, a good friend of yours, Mr. Tim Barth, told us that, and then a lot of people probably don't know this, but you took over a year testing these transmissions, pulling them apart,
Yep.
putting them back together, doing another test, pulling it apart, putting it back together. Like that takes a lot of determination and yes, work.
yeah, it was a lot of money, a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. HP Tuners had unlocked the TCMs probably 8 or 9 months before we started messing with them seriously. And so, Tim was already tuning on the HP. Well, he wasn't tuning. He was actually on Diablo at that time. But John Green at Mass Acceleration Motorsports was tuning HP Tuners on the A8s. And my car at that time was the guinea pig, if you will. John was playing with shift timing and clutch pressures and all kinds of stuff, trying to make the stock one live. And John did a
I
great
was
job.
a test.
Yeah, I was the test.
No, Scott said I was a test.
Scott was a test. Yeah, that was a great test. That
He
worked out
still
really
is.
well.
And I gotta say, I love
Just
it.
a different type of test now. But
Yes.
anyway,
But,
yeah.
yeah, Tim was still on doing Diablo stuff, but we would put a file in, just drive the shit out of the car, go to the track, make hits, whatever, take transmission apart, and I'd call and be like, hey man, the D-clutch is junk. We need to do something here. And he'd change and put it back together, do the same thing. And this went on and on and on and on. but it just, that's the kind of work you have to do when you're in uncharted territory. You know,
Right.
It's like,
Mhm.
I was
what's
going to
going
ask
on?
what kind of stuff you were seeing by just like not normal wear and tear, but like
Right.
what kind of
Well,
stuff you were seeing as you were going along.
Danny Morrison, his car was making absurd power at the time. Power that I don't think a lot of guys were seeing yet in a full bolt-on car. This was just it was a TKM
Mhm.
stroker engine. Actually, at that time, it was a TKM engine, but it was stock cubes, so stock displacement. But it had Tytech bare heads and had a Kenny Bell, this massive Kenny Bell on it and stuff. And that the torque would come on so violently in that car, it would literally blow through the converter. And that was awesome data to catch, because once we saw what was happening with that converter, it's like, oh man, now we need to look at converters and this, that, and the other. And you know, it's amazing the journey that we took to get this transmission right. And there's a ton of people along the way, that helped. It's amazing
It was
how far we've
a
come
process.
in a short period of time. Yeah, it is crazy. But Tim was very instrumental in that. Brian Carter, huge help to me. He was at Suncoast at the time, and that's where all the converter technology came from, was the testing that Brian did, the blood, sweat, and tears he put into it. Because as I was developing, my program, Brian was on the converters. They were putting converters in his car like every other week, testing this, testing that, and coming up with stator designs. And so, having that partnership and friendship was really helpful to me as well. I wouldn't be where I'm at right now without Brian Carter. That is for damn sure. He definitely played a big role in helping. And on the other side of that, the shops that took a chance on me in the beginning, like Scott at AMP and Tim Barth. Tim and I hooked up at was it Kentucky?
Yeah,
it was Kentucky, and he had unfortunately had a transmission like explode on him and catch on fire.
Oh,
And
wow.
it wasn't in a customer vehicle.
he was in a customer's car, and the case, it exploded literally, and he was on fire on the back, back side of the track. It was pretty scary. But after that, that's when he and I really started working hard together to figure it out, because that wasn't cool,
No.
But yeah, there's so much stuff we've learned in this journey, But yeah, it's crazy to think where we were 3 years ago. With all this. But yeah, I gotta thank Scott big time, because he called me one day and he's like, "Hey man, I'm about ready to do something stupid with this car called Black Betty," and I'm like, "Let's go!"
Oh yeah, we got to take care of that. Okay, I asked you if this is one of your customers.
Yeah, that's a customer.
I didn't know about Black Betty. Well, because it's on your Facebook page, right? So I thought,
it is the backdrop. It's our wallpaper, if you will. Yeah, that shot. That's my favorite shot of all time, of all the pictures that I have in my collection. That one there, that's it. That's the one. So it stays on the backdrop for us. Yeah.
Now, what about any other platforms? So I've got a Suburban. I want to go as fast as Tina's Durango in the 8s. Will you
Ain't
build
gonna happen.
a transmission?
No.
Do you not work on other brands?
So we're right now, with the limited staff, as small as we are, we're a niche. We're very niche. So right now it's the A8 8-speeds, the NAG ones. We have kind of trickled into the Audi market. We're doing some 55s for those guys. There's some developments going on with maybe some BMW stuff in the future. Audi, definitely. We have a couple Audis out there doing really well.
Cool.
So we're pretty happy with that side of it.
Okay.
And we just recently acquired a 10-speed from a Mustang. And my thought is, 2023 is the end of the Hemi. Yeah, we're going to be able to ride the wave for several years after this.
Yeah.
But the future and the longevity of Sipple Speed and Performance, we have to be a little bit diversified. So I am going to get into the 10 speed. I'm going to figure that one out, just like I did the A8s. And I'm probably end up buying a Mustang to have that trans so I can beat the shit out of it myself, like I did with my Hellcat.
Right.
And test it and make sure that we've got it right.
I'll take one like Rhonda's, thank you.
Yeah, we'll get one like Rhonda's. But anyway, we want to have something so if the Hemi stuff really starts to fall off, we have something.
Right. You've got something else. Exactly.
And there are thousands of Mustangs.
There's a ton. Yeah. There's definitely a market for it.
Right. There's a market for it. Again, we're a very small company, so I'm trying not to blow the lid off this thing. I want to be able to be manageable because if I've got so much work I can't even do it all, it's I'm just gonna
not gonna be any good
people, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And then he's gonna start getting pissed off.
Yeah, and we don't need that. We're right now we're building. What's going on?
Pat, like
10 speed. Is that a
Pat.
Nice.
That's a nice bike, son.
That's cool.
I'm crying.
Anyway,
it's pretty witty.
He's a funny guy. The hell was I even talking about?
Thanks, Pat.
10 speed.
Oh, the 10 speed.
The Mustangs.
Yes.
Mustangs.
Actually, I would let him have a Mustang, and I would probably have a Camaro.
Yeah.
Just to
balance it out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But
so what different builds do you offer, John? And I guess it's depending on the power level and.
Well, so we used to do all that, and honestly, I just remember what the hell we were talking about. Right now, we're building about 30 transmissions a month, and for as small as we are, we're cranking. You know what I mean? We're
that's incredible.
So I have found that let's take a customer that has a 900 horsepower Hellcat. Calls me up, hey man, I need a transmission for my car. We talk it over, blah blah blah. Let's say, all right, here you go. Here's your price. Here's your trans. We put it in the car. Everything's cool. 6 months later, we get this phone call. Hey man, we put that new 3.8 drag pack Whipple on it. It's making 1,400 wheel. Yeah, that's not going to work anymore if you have levels, right? So we decided in the beginning, because you know how it is. You get a car, you make some passes. Man, this is badass. I wonder if I can go faster.
That's right.
I wonder if I can go faster. And let's take Mom Car, for example. It went from stock to fucking insane.
Yeah.
In a year, right? So the point being, you're never going to stop. It's a disease. We all have it. We all embrace it.
Yep.
You're going to get a Hellcat and you're going to start modding it. Guess what? You ain't going to stop. You're going to keep on going. So we just build them one level. Badass as we can make them so that you can throw everything at it, And believe you me, I try. Every time I take my car to the track, I try to break it. That's my goal. When I show up at the track, I'm like, I'm breaking shit. Because if I break it and figure it out and fix it, my customers are going to be better off.
That's right.
So I show up at the track, and I'll say it. I'm here to break shit. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I do. I break shit.
I never look at it that way. I always I hope I don't break something, but if I do, we're going to learn from it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I would rather take the lumps, take the loss, take the financial burden, all that before my customers do. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why I think that's part of the reason why we're so successful is because we actually take our stuff to the track and beat the absolute shit out of it.
Hands on. You do the testing, you do everything, right? Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
Now, was there a logo change or something like that along the way?
So my logo choice in the beginning was probably not favorable. This is way better. Yes. So I got to thank John Burleson for this because what started out as a drunken funny at New Year's turned into this Hemi gnome, right? So, and the logo, I love the logo.
It's awesome.
We did have the generic Challenger.
Yeah, I went with the cookie cutter silhouette of the Challenger with our name in it, and it worked.
I mean, it worked. It was the only thing I could think to come up with at the time, and I had somebody else pretty much come up with it for me. Yeah. And then, I mean, I was talking to you today, Tara, about that other logo I made, and like boom, out of nowhere, I was like, holy crap, you know?
Yeah, and the stuff's pretty user friendly now too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's great. The and what's the story behind? Oh yeah, behind the gnome.
All right,
Yeah.
so when COVID hit and I left my cushy day job and came here to work on cars, I was like, I woke up one day and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let my beard grow because I don't give a shit.
Right.
I told you I said I wanted it to grow.
Well, I know, but
Oh, well, I know.
so I started growing the beard, and I think it was New Year's. I want to say it was New Year's 2020 to 21. And Burls was over, and of course, you know, we're all drinking, having a good time, whatever. And he's like, "Bro, you look like a gnome. You're the hemi gnome." And I'm like, "I'm the what? You're the hemi gnome." And it just stuck. So
Oh, that's awesome.
here we are.
Yeah, it totally works.
Yeah. Pat actually got us hats. There's a picture somewhere.
There's in the bus. There's a whole bag of.
We got a
gnome
bag
hats.
of gnome hats.
But he
And,
never drives one or wears one when he's driving the bus. And
I
I'm like,
don't have the cojones to wear one while I'm driving. I'd probably get arrested. Someone would say, "Pull that man over. He doesn't belong in the bus. And get him
No.
out of there."
mm-mm.
Maybe the
I
short
doubt
bus.
Yeah, if it was a short bus,
Yeah.
Right.
You better have those hats right there.
those hats are in a bus, Pat.
Yeah, that's
Shut up.
funny.
Wow. That's
Now,
really-
what about all-wheel drive, rear wheel, front wheel? Is there a lot of differences when you're doing builds for those?
Yeah, so the platform, you have the HP90, which is your rear wheel drive version of that transmission, and the 95 is for like the TRX, Durango, and Trackhawk. A little bit different. The pump housing's different. The way the B clutch strategy is totally different in the 95 versus the 90. So obviously there's a transfer case that accompanies the TRX, Durango, and Trackhawk. So we also build the transfer cases for the Durango and the Trackhawk as well. And then the lower, like the SRT level Jeeps,
the WK1s.
WK1s, which right now, WK1 transfer case parts are really getting obsolete. And I'm starting to fear that we may not be able to offer those much longer.
Okay.
They're just, their stuff's phasing out. It's harder to get stuff. I have a stockpile. And if the right customer calls me and needs it, I'll do them. But I don't have the stock that I had 2 years ago.
Right.
46 NV 146 stuff. So it's like,
And then
Yeah.
with the TRX, we don't build those because they're beefy enough.
yeah, we haven't seen, unless you do something really outrageous, I have never seen one of those Borg Warner units fail yet. I'm sure we're going to find it. We're going to
Eventually, yeah.
someone's going to find the limit of that thing. But right now, the cost of research, development, this, that, and the other, and it's like they're not breaking. So I'm not ready to dive into that quite yet. But the MP 3010 and the 3023s, they've got some issues. We've come up with some solutions, and they're doing quite well with what we're doing with them. And as I say, it's a key component, because if you got 1,200 horsepower and you got a built trans, and you got a stock transfer case, it's only a matter of time you're going to spit that thing out too. So we try to we call it the trifecta. You get the converter, the trans, and the transfer case when you're dealing with a Trackhawk or Durango. Do it all at the same time, throw it in there, and
or WK1 too as well.
Yeah, the WK1s, we do the same thing with the nags. But I would say our Trackhawk package is probably the most popular package we do. We probably
Yeah.
2 to 3
literally.
a week, at least 2 to 3 a week. And that, ever since Tyler Connolly got in the 8s with his bolt-on Trackhawk, it's been steady ever since that day. 2 or 3
Really?
weeks. Yep. And it hasn't stopped. It hasn't slowed down. We get calls every single day on that package.
Really?
Yeah, it's really incredible. And that where Tyler's Jeep was, it was like 880s. That's like the sweet spot. That's the guy who has a Trackhawk, wants to go fast, but doesn't want to go off the deep end and have a gutted beer can as a freaking Trackhawk.
Yeah.
Is it a
Yeah.
track walk?
Hello, right here.
Well, we're not gut hunters yet.
No. I was saying, I mean, I just without going off the deep end.
No, yeah.
Tin canning it.
But it's like that's the sweet spot. Guys that want to go fast in a track walk, sure, everybody wants to go sevens, but let's face it, there's safety involved. There's dollars beyond dollars involved once you get past a certain point. High eights in a track walk is very obtainable for everybody. The stuff's out there now. The Whipples are out there. There's all kinds of stuff. There's IC chillers that Summit sells. You can get there with bolt-ons and not break the bank and have a great time in your track walk. And that's where we're at. We're in that sweet spot. We sell them like they're going out of style.
Really? And they're a little bit lighter than the Durangos too, aren't they?
600 pounds.
Is that, about 600 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
What's the worst carnage you've seen on a transmission? I actually asked Jess to see if you guys had any pictures of something.
He's got a lot of pictures.
I got a lot of pictures.
Remembering exactly, he and that's the thing. Like I told him that he wanted some pictures, and then
I'll give you an example. There's been many. I'll probably count. When Michael England's transmission finally expired, Z had been nursing this thing along for an entire season. When we started 2021 season, we started 2021 season. Z sent Mike an email and said, "Hey man, your trans is slipping a little bit." Mike's like, "Well, what can we do?" Z said, "I'm gonna try to get you along. We'll get you along a little bit. I'm gonna do some stuff." He nursed that transmission the entire season. And, we would talk, and like, man, what do you think? I don't know, and of course I'm building transmissions for everybody else. And Mike's just poking along, and we had overbuilt that car. He wanted to run 10.0. So we built him a mid 9-second car to run 10.0. So we weren't killing the thing every pass. I think that's what helped between Z's tuning and the fact that we slowed the car down. He got through the end of the season. When I took that thing apart, the clutch clearance in the C clutch was over a quarter of an inch. And it still worked. So that was incredible. And I was like, Z, you're the man. Thank God you got this thing to squeak, because he won a championship, I believe, that year too with that car.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and of course, I built the trans then, and the rest is history. But Mike's become the hell of a racer.
Yes.
In that
car.
I've
seen him in some of the events.
So that car, I built that car bumper to bumper, motor, transmission, axles, rear, you name it, I've touched it. Put a chiller in it.
You should not say it that way. But anyways.
You name it.
He likes playing with trannies. So
sometimes mix it up, right?
I tell you, some of them are really stinky too. But I do have to give a big shout out to Tim and Rhonda Barth. I love you guys and can't wait to see you.
That's right.
That's so nice.
His comment, I seen it. It was about, there's no better transmission than our family, the Sipples,
Yes, I have to still meet Mr. Barth in person someday. But it's amazing, just all the help and the support within that community. I think that's part of why I love it so much.
Tim's a great guy. He did the shirt off his back. He's definitely been key in a lot of the strategies and tuning and just support. And,
right.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes that a lot of people probably don't understand or know about that make the Hemi world tick. And you'd be surprised how many people talk to each other behind the scenes. And, we're fortunate to say we build for 72 shops worldwide.
Yeah, I was going to ask if your transmissions are offered at other places.
Yep. And we have found that, working with shops benefits us. It benefits, obviously, the end user, the customer, because, there's a lot of things that go on doing an 8-speed, as far as quick learning and fluid fill procedures and just tuning in general, just they're different, right? So it's not like back in the day when you took your Fox body and chucked in an AOD from the salvage yard or from Jegs or wherever and just throw it in there and go. Doesn't work like that anymore. These have brains, they have TCMs, they have VIN numbers and calibrations, and so you get a customer that wanted to save some money. Well, I'm just going to get by and put a wrecked or a salvaged transmission in my car, and now all of a sudden the CAN bus has picked up a foreign VIN and has thrown it in every module in that car, and now it's on lockdown.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, can you help me? Well, I could have before you did that, but you know what I mean? So there's a lot going on. So we like to work with shops because it makes the experience better for the consumer, for us, for the shop.
Yeah.
And, we've developed this partnership, if you will, with 72 of these shops all across the world. And
actually, Jeff Turk, that's a recent kind of venture or partnership.
That's a recent venture between he and I, and
Blackbird
I'm really
Performance.
excited. Yep, I'm really, really excited to see.
Super cool.
Yeah, I was really honored when he reached out to us for that. I was like, "You want me to?"
Yeah, I followed Mr. Turk for a while with Blackbird. We are going to have him on the show. Him
cool.
and Jenna down the road. Definitely. So yeah, it was super cool when I saw that.
Yeah, great folks, and I say we're honored to be a part of that and work with them, and be able to provide that little part of the puzzle, for his program. It's going to be some pretty awesome street cars he's going to turn out. So I'm really excited to see, where it leads.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the shops. I say we couldn't do this without the shops and the support. But if you think of big names, I'm not going to blab everybody out there, because it's not my place. But think about the big names in the Hemi community. More than likely, we're building for them.
Right.
And
that's great.
That's amazing.
We talk to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we have to be Switzerland, because we're building transmissions for everybody. And sometimes people get upset and they may say something. It's like, look, man, let's all work together. I'd rather work together with people, because it's hard enough.
It is.
Trying to navigate in today's world with social media and everybody. You're under a microscope 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I just find it kind of comforting when we have guys that we can reach out to.
And they got your back.
And they got our back. We got their back. It's awesome. There's a lot of great people in the Hemi.
Yeah, there is. There absolutely is. Yeah. What's your biggest challenge for you guys at the shop? Supply chain, customers, time.
Supply chain and time would have to be, I'd say supply chain more than anything.
Still an issue. And
it's been, it was really rough, obviously, when COVID hit, and it really has not recovered. There's some things that are pretty easy to get. There are some things that I got to buy whatever I can find and hoard it, stash it, squirrel it away, because, I mean, if you're building 30 a month, 3 months, that's 90, you know what I mean? It's just the number just keeps growing. Like I want 6 months to a year supply on the shelf. So if you start thinking about those numbers, it gets a little mind boggling. It's like, where am I going to find this particular part in a quantity of, 200?
Right.
Yeah. It starts to become a challenge,
Yeah, for sure.
We actually had a fluid issue, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? Probably about a month ago. I got my supplier called me and said, hey, the boat never showed up with the fluid from Germany. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, we don't have any fluid. I'm like, well, let me go in the back room and see what I've got. And literally I had 2 weeks worth of fluid back there. And they didn't know when they were going to get it out. I was freaking out.
Oh, no.
That sucked. But we got it handled.
Yeah.
We did some other things and got it from other places. Paid way too much for it, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Supply and demand, right?
Supply and demand.
Supply
chains, they're trying for sure.
Yeah. And sponsors, you guys are just coming off a Modern Street Hemi Shootout event, Rockingham, North Carolina. You've sponsored some of those events.
Yes.
Also, Women in Wheels. We had Sophie on the show. Anybody else? Any other events that you're doing that?
Well, 10-0 too for Modern Street Hemi.
Yeah, so the MSHS, we sponsored the 10-0 class.
Okay.
We actually took that over from Josh. When Josh jumped to title sponsor, he called me and Jess and was like, hey, you guys want to jump into this? And we're like, absolutely.
Right.
So when he leapfrogged up, we leapfrogged in. And, you know, the Rockingham race is very special to us because that's our home track.
Yeah.
That's where, you know, I hit my first 8 at Rockingham. A lot of racing history there. I've been racing there since I moved here. Good Lord. 2003. So there's a lot of history there. We're very proud to be sponsors of that, the title sponsors for that race. And as long as Dan will have us, I'll keep sponsoring that race. You know,
Awesome.
It's very, very near and dear to our hearts. But yeah, so we got the 10-0, we've got our race at Rockingham, and then we decided to jump into Women in Wheels because we had attended a streetcar takeover.
We went to a few of them, Women in Wheels last year.
And Jessica was like, this is awesome, you know, and we got to know Sophie, and it just kind of worked out. It was like, you know what, we need to embrace this program, and so we became the sponsors of it. And it's
we're the presenting sponsors.
Yeah, we're the presenting sponsors now. I'm not quite sure what kind of return we're getting from it, but the series is so awesome, and Sophie works so hard. You know, and she's still got a lot to learn. She had a little mishap a couple weeks ago, but again, you know, we're all human.
Yeah,
things happen.
You learn from them.
You learn from your mistakes.
Really, yeah,
but
absolutely.
The premise of this series to get women involved in racing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I watch the glow that comes off my wife when she's racing. It's just,
I glow with you guys, and when I come to watch, I don't even race. Just to be a part of it is awesome.
The dedication that just emanates from her, I have no words for it. I just stand. I'm like, whatever you need, whatever the hell you need, I got you.
I'm like, no, don't worry about it. I got this. Especially when I'm in the track hawk, I'm like, you know what? Just stay at the pits. I got this. No worries.
Yeah. She's come a long way in a short time with the racing, but
this is only my 4th year, so
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, the Women in Wheels thing is something we just, you know, took to really quickly, you know, and we'll see where that leads us.
Right.
We're hoping once we get in the 10-speed market that will start paying dividends for us being in that, you know, streetcar takeover scene. Because there's a few Mopars, but there's a ton of Mustangs, ton of Camaros.
Yep. And Cadillacs.
And Cadillacs.
Yes. A ton of those Cadillacs.
Audis, yep.
And Audis. So, and as I say, we're just getting into the Audi market, so that might
open that up for you. Yeah, for sure. Now let's maybe just show some of your cool shit. Are you guys making fucking bracelets now?
John,
yeah, that's
John. Before the show, she literally said, "I was trying to figure out what all these parts are. What are these bracelets?" I was like, "Oh my god, I have to say this on the show."
I love it.
So why do you put bracelets in the transmission, John?
So you have to put bracelets. The bracelets go round and round, and then a piston goes, not today, and it slams shut, and then it makes a gear turn in a planetary set. And then that translates to drive shaft movement, which translates to differential movement, which translates to tire movement. And
so bracelets aren't just for pretty things, right?
No. You got to have bracelets. You got to have a shit ton of them in an AA.
I told her it was happening on the show. She literally said, "What are these bracelets?"
I know, they look like bracelets.
I was dying.
That's awesome.
They sound, well, do you remember, like, you know, in the 80s, we had these, like, metal bracelets, or it just kind of reminded me of
it. I used to wear the crap out of them. Yeah.
You get one of those for every race you win, Tara. That's what.
Yeah.
Oh.
Giveaways.
Okay.
There you go. Hey,
yeah.
So this is, you know, a trio ready to go out.
Yeah, that is 3 HP 95 Trackhawk transmissions. Yeah.
So Scott's truck.
No, that was James Wall's truck.
Mm.
That was cousin or Uncle Jay picking up
Okay.
those transmissions. Yeah.
I just
Now-
remember Scott picked up like 3 transmissions.
Scott picked up a Nag, a 90, and
I can't get rid of it. Hold
Tina's. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
on. Okay.
yeah, we have shops that literally drive down, make a day trip, drive down. We already have cores built. We'll swap TCMs, fill them with fluid, and back on the road.
Yeah.
We do that quite often, with the local shops that are within 4 or 5 hours from us. We'll say that.
Yeah. Right. And
So that there's the crown jewel. So that is our billet E-drum that goes in the HP 90 and 95s. That right there is basically what put us on the map and what got Z from 8.0s to 7s.
oh, awesome.
Yeah, Z was breaking E-drums every time he went out when he was running 8.0s and just could not get that car into 7s with a stock E-drum. And he reached out to me and he's like, man, I keep breaking these drums. And now, he uses a Paramount transmission, which, Bill's obviously been in the game for many, many, many years. He didn't feel the need for a drum, and that's fine. It's not for everybody, but Z wanted that drum. So we basically sold Z a drum. Z took it to Bill. Bill put it in the trans. The very next pass, he went 7s.
Wow.
So, yep.
The rest is history.
And basically, because when that car went 7s with the drum in, it was like, holy crap, here we go. And I'm forever grateful for Z, taking a chance on my part there.
Right.
That drum was a royal pain. Little backstory on that deal. I have a childhood friend. His name's Howard Elliott, and his younger brother Tim Elliott. That we were like the three amigos way back when we all lived in Delaware, and our friendship stems back to like 1988.
Nice.
So Howard is a CNC machinist. He is a badass. He does just incredible things as far as machinists go, and hell of a talent. Couldn't ask for a more talented guy, and a nice guy too. So when we were having trouble with the drums, I reached out to Howard and I said, man, we need to figure this out because we keep breaking these. And we literally sat down and we looked at the stock drum and said, man, well, that's a problem. This is a problem. I don't like this. I don't like that. We kind of round tabled it, and he started making prototypes, and we actually had 14 of those out in the wild. Nobody knew a thing. And once we had durability tests and we brought transmissions back and tore them apart and figured out that was the ticket, and we launched it, and that thing, we have sold the shit out of those drums. It's incredible. We got
awesome.
Suncoast buys them from us. They go at every single build we do, gets one of those drums. It's just been an incredible journey with that as well, But yeah, we were testing those. We never said a word. We just kept it quiet. Matter of fact, the only failure we ever had on a drum, Brian Carter broke one. And it didn't really break. We had a little clearance issue on one of the bushings, and he calls me up and he goes, I think the bushing fell out. And I'm like, what do you mean the bushing fell out? He goes, I don't have second gear at all. There's no bang. There was no bang. Like, it didn't break. And I'm like, holy shit. So once we figured out our error in our assembly process, once we figured that out, we have literally, knock on wood, have had 0 failures with that drum. And in fact, I think 13 of the 14 prototypes are still out in service right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and a side note, Tara, check your messages real quick. There's a couple pictures you're going to love. Tina, too.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Are you keeping it clean?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, it is. No, you guys are
Send
gonna
us
die.
pictures of trannies again.
Wait a minute, which kind of trainings?
I can't say.
Yeah.
Are we drinking Bud Light tonight, ladies?
That's so cute.
Hey, what's all this important shit left over?
Oh, that's just 727 shit right there. That's actually Rob Dahday's. No, wait a minute. Let me look at that. Nope, that was a stalker that we were doing for a customer. Carried a 727 to us and said, hey, "This thing's broke. I need to fix it." Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
There was a TCM hanging on the wall there though from an A8. Yep. Right. Yep. Right by the paper towels.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think earlier I was asking Jess. I said, "This looks like my brain."
Oh, the separator
The
plates.
separator
For
plate.
the valve bodies, yeah.
Yeah. So that is basically fluid passages are in the valve by direct fluid from one place to the other to open and close valves to actuate hydraulic circuits in the transmission to allow gear changes. And the ZF employs an aluminum plate with a print-to-seal gasket to seal off those areas so that fluid doesn't transfer into the wrong chamber at the wrong time. It's all very metered, precise fluid path flow. So
That's awesome.
you have to replace that separator plate anytime you open a valve body. If you don't, it will bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know. Yes. So we have
Yes.
to keep a lot of those in stock.
Gotcha. This
Yep.
is I came across this picture and it's a good one.
Oh man.
Like what?
So that was in Texas,
Houston.
at the Legion of Demon. And that was right after I went 827, 169 in that car.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And we weren't even ready for that. So when Tim and I showed up to that with that car,
Pat.
we we were like, we'll get it in the mid eights and everything will be fine. And we had only sprayed it with 150 shot at that point. So we were like, what the hell's going on? Like what, we were not expecting that. So I was a little taken aback. Yeah.
Those are awesome moments though. For sure.
It really, it's that whole trip was pretty incredible. We had a really good time. I think I ended up, I ended up winning Z. It was Z and I in the finals, and something happened. Gosh, something happened on Z's end that was out of his control, and he couldn't complete the pass. And I got down. I went A to B, conservative, and sometimes being conservative will get you a win.
Yeah.
It's hard taking these cars and trying to go balls out every freaking run. It's like blow the tires off.
Yeah.
Transmission's too cold, it misses a shift. Engine oil temps too high, you spin a bearing, or God forbid you lift a head, which happened this past weekend to Z, unfortunately.
Saw that.
And actually it didn't lift a head, it cracked a cylinder.
Yeah, I saw the crack in it.
Yeah, and he's making a lot of steam, and he's asking a lot of that iron block, and I just think he's ready for the next step.
Nice.
Because his power level is just it's over
there.
Yeah, I've done the math, and I'm like, dude, you're making like 200 more than me.
Yeah.
I'm way past my comfort zone. Like,
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you? How can they reach out to you? And actually, I was on your website and I couldn't get on. I don't know if it's under construction or.
Yes. So John Burleson is building us a new website.
Nice.
So that we can actually have a little more order in our life. Right now, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
The best way to communicate with us is through email. Now,
email or text.
Yeah, email or text. But Gary Rudy, we've actually got Gary Rudy to come on board to help us with all the messages. We probably get hit 50, 60 times a day
Yeah.
with messages. And obviously, if I'm out in the build room building, I got Jordan in the build room. We're both trying to hustle, him more so than me these days, but we just don't have time. The time that it takes, like when I talk to a customer, I'll engage, and
Right.
have
Absolutely.
that conversation and ask the tough questions and try to get everything ironed out. I could be on the phone for half hour, 45 minutes.
Oh, for sure.
So what we're trying to do right now is the inflow through Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. Gary's trying to manage all that.
No, I have the WhatsApp. He does not.
Oh, he does not.
No.
Okay. So IG, Facebook.
Okay.
Gary's handling all the inflow. And, if a customer is ready to pull the trigger, then they're given an email to email Jessica.
Gotcha.
And then I deal with emails and then phone calls,
Right.
But
on my end. And I try to take care of everything else, like paperwork wise,
Yeah,
bills paid, like.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot behind the scenes, right? A lot of admin stuff,
Here's a
Uh,
question for you, John.
to avoid the slug shifts. You got to have that transmission temperature at minimum 120 degrees, preferably 140. And don't be afraid to run that thing at 190. The thing was designed to run that hot. So, a big misconception out there is these guys throw these cooler thermostat eliminator kits on these transmissions. And the problem is, you lose about 10 to 15% line pressure when you take that restriction out of the line. So it's not the answer. And if you insist on it being the answer, make sure your tuner understands that so he can bump the pressures up so you don't burn the transmission up. So just a little tip there.
Great advice.
Yeah, because it's that restrictor in that line, that thermostat, it's there, and the fluid pressure, line pressure is calculated because it's there. You take that out, now you got problems. So
Okay.
yeah, a lot of people burn stuff up and they're like, well, I took the thermostat out, it should run cooler. It does, but you have lower pressure. So now you're acting like a converter dump, and you're freaking, when the converter's unlocked, it's doing wild stuff and creating a bunch of heat in a small area.
Right.
So,
Right.
not necessarily anywhere else in the transmission, just right where you don't want it.
Right.
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 So, oh man.
Well, guys, I can't thank you enough for coming back on the
Thanks.
show. I love you to death. Really grateful to know you both and spend some time with you guys at the track. Missed the last event, but hopefully I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, we were
Out
talking
there.
the other day about trying to get up to Detroit.
I think we're gonna go.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the closest to me. Yeah,
because we
it's a good time.
we hired Rob, our tattoo Rob, our buddy Rob. His younger brother Jordan is now with us, so there's actually two of us building transmissions in the shop. We had to do something. I was just getting run over.
Yeah.
And so it does make, when we leave for a race, it's a lot better now because Jordan he's the man. He handles it, you know what I mean? And
The show goes on, right?
the show goes on, because we're at the race, it's just like work,
Yeah.
we're
Right.
taking care of customers and then trying to get our own program together, and it can be
It's a
a lot more work there than at the shop.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, we hope to we'll have you back again in the future, and I
Thanks,
think what
Scott.
we'll do is we'll put up your promo ad for the end of the show.
The one on TC2 TV,
Yeah.
they play that thing so much.
I know.
I get phone calls like, bro, they've played that commercial like 18,000 times.
Do you want me to play it or no?
It's fine. You can. That's fine. It's
But-
all good.
Thank
But
you
yeah,
guys so much.
Yep. Thank you guys.
You
And
guys
the
are
website's
it's
coming
late.
soon, so we're
Yes.
working.
Okay. That's good because I was going to ask you about that. I noticed that, but fantastic.
We'll have to
Yeah.
ask girls when, but it's coming.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Good night,
Good seeing
guys.
you
Take care.
guys.
Good to see you.
Good
Bye.
night.
See you guys soon.
Well, good night, everybody. We shall leave you with the Sipples promo, and we'll see everybody soon. Take care.
Bye.
Hey everybody, this is Jon and Jess Sipple.
Hey.
owners of Sipple Speed and Performance in North Carolina. We specialize in the modern Mopar transmissions. So if you have a NAG 1, a ZF 70, 90, 95, you own a TRX, you own a Hellcat Durango, Charger, Challenger Hellcat, 1320 or Scat Pack, we have got your solution for transmissions. If you've broke your transmission because of heavy horsepower and a lot of weight, we have the answer. We have some of the fastest cars in the country running our transmissions. And if you're in need, please reach out to us. We will have a solution for you. It's Sipple Speed and Performance.